Good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the All-Pro broadcast here on this Wednesday night. It's the Apache Graphics and Race Designs Camping World Truck Series, and tonight we're at Daytona International Speedway for 50 laps of Camping World racing action coming at you here for too long. Right now we are going qualifying. The drivers are out there putting in their qualifying times here. We'll be set to go green once that session ends. You got about 5 minutes before that ends. And we want to thank Apache Graphics and Race Designs, tonight's sponsor, for putting on this race series. This is the fourth of a 10-race series here tonight. We will be at Watkins Glen next Wednesday, followed by Atlanta in a couple weeks, Pocono on the 14th of October, Talladega on the 21st, Homestead on the 28th, and closing out this race series, 10-race series, we will be at Texas Motor Speedway on the 4th of November. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in here tonight. Before we get this kicked off, if you have any drivers out there that you are rooting for here tonight and you want to post them out there and give a shout out to your drivers, go ahead and put that across there and we'll be happy to do that. Before I go any further, I'll introduce myself here. This is Dustin Caldwell on cameras. We have Michael D'Amico here this evening. The series rundown here, coming off of Camping World's trucks last night. If you tuned in for that, we were doing the Extreme Motorsports, their Camping World's truck series. We were at Dover for 132 laps, and a couple of our drivers, our All-Pro League drivers, were in that. Mitchell Reeves took second place in that race, and Donald King led some laps there for a while and ended up, I believe, somewhere in the top 10. I think he finished about 7th or 8th in that race there at Dover. So nice to see our guys crossing over into some other leagues and putting down some success on other tracks. Tonight here, you definitely will be seeing both drivers racing here in the Apache Graphics Race Designs Camping World Truck Series here at Daytona. Taking a look at our overall series points here while the drivers are working their way into qualification. We have Damon Gilbert is your race or series points leader with 161 points. Damon Gilbert has led over half the laps of the race. He's put down 150 laps in this race series, and he's led about 71 of them. He's looking at the driving tactics, he's a pretty safe driver. He's only had about 8 incidents in those races. So he's only been in about 3 races of this 4 races so far. He's been in the first 3 races of the races so far, and out of that, he has taken 2 poles of the races. He's won 1 and had 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s. So Damon Gilbert is going to be the man to beat here tonight. Taking a look at second in points, you have that 51 truck of Dustin Lee. Dustin Lee, out of the first 3 races, has led about 4 laps. He's gotten 1 pole, had 2 top 5s, and 2 top 10s. Dustin Lee just is off of Damon Gilbert by about 35 points here. Excuse me, not 35, 11 points. I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong column here on the stat sheet. So Dustin Lee is just about 11 points off. But while the drivers are set to go qualifying, apologize, they're having some technical difficulties up here in the booth. right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties up here in the booth, but we see the drivers are down there on the grid, so we are going to go ahead and give you some gridding action. It looks like the number 3 of Mark Jackson will be taking the pole here tonight. His qualifying time is 49.980. He's running that Gravedigger paint scheme on that truck here tonight. His outside, you've got the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer III with a qualifying time of 49.987. Starting inside on that second row, you have that ever so colorful Lego Angry Cat Grumpy truck. That is the 89 of Matthew Quick. His qualifying time here tonight was 49.987. To his outside is the 68 of Damon Gilbert running that black and red Chevy Silverado. His qualifying time, 49.988. The 51 of Dustin Lee starts in the inside row, and rounds out your top 5. His qualifying time here tonight was 49.990. To his outside, you have the 77 of John Brom in that Texaco truck. His qualifying time tonight was 50.011. As we take a look back to the next row, you have the 54 of Nick Reynolds running that Southeast Motorsports truck. In 8th position, to his outside, you have Scott Amy at number 55 truck. Looking back at the next row, you got the 14 of Jeff T. Martin, qualified 9th here tonight. To his outside, you'll have that Toyota Tundra. That is the number 4 truck of Andrew Williams. Teddy Wisniewski starts on the inside row. The next row back in 11th position at number 25 truck. Followed by Nick Hunt to the outside. We got Donald Fitzgerald, Dustin Phillips, Brent Rogers, Gary Whitmer Jr., Donald King. And it looks like it's going to do. It looks like we got about 17 trucks here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that are starting the field. This is the Apache Graphics and Race Designs Camping World Truck Series here this Wednesday night. We want to thank you for tuning in here to the All Pro Broadcast Network. Apologize for the little technical delays that we had in the booth up here. Tends to happen from time to time, so we got to figure it out. I'm glad we could be back on the air for you here tonight. Drivers are now making their way through turns 3 into turn 4, coming down the front stretch here. We will be set to go green for 50 laps of racing action here at Daytona International Speedway. Pace car set to go in. It's gonna be that number 3 and that 87 taking us green here, getting ready to start. Pace car's in and the green flag flies. We're off to the races here at Daytona for the Apache Graphics Race Designs Camping World Truck Series. And Mark Jackson looks like he is off on that lower groove, getting a little bit of help from the 89 of Matthew Quick. They're trying to stay side by side heading into that first turn. Raymond Rittenauer up there in the middle groove there. Interesting paint scheme. He's running that Scooby-Doo scheme on his truck here tonight. A lot of colorful paint schemes you see running here. Definitely nice to see a little bit of diversity on the field from the typical brands you would see on some trucks. And Matthew Quick already making his move up there in that middle groove. Coming around over Mark Jackson. He's going to stay in the middle groove as he makes his way around. We'll have to see what the lower groove does, and it looks like he catches back up, and now the lower groove gets some momentum heading down into the front stretch here. Looks like we're going to have a clean first lap here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The condition temperatures out there tonight, we are at 65 degrees. Track temperature is the same, but this is the new dynamic racing surfaces that you're seeing here tonight. And as these trucks go around this track, they can rubber it up a little bit and affect the lines and the grooves. As we saw last night at Dover, guys were talking about it. They had to fight the track. May not present much of a problem here on a super speedway like this. This is 2.5 mile track at Daytona, so drivers, it's not going to be as quite as effective in the long run as it would be at a smaller track. So as they come down the front stretch now, tied neck and neck, the 89 of Matthew Quick in that middle groove, Mark Jackson in the lower groove. Second row, we're seeing the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer and the 51 of Dustin Lee. Those are your front 4 here on lap number 3 of this 50-lap affair here tonight. And Ryan Eckstein out there in the community, always great to see him joining us here tonight. Taking a look out there, he's rooting for Donald King. Donald King again last night in that Extreme Motorsports Series. was finished, I believe, somewhere in the top 10. I didn't get to actually see the official results of where he finished. Mitchell Reeves came in second. These are two good all-pro racers here that race in a lot of leagues. And we have some contact in the front stretch here. Oh, my goodness. Coming out down there, the start-finish line. Looks like Mark Jackson got a little wobbly. And that's going to make the first caution fly here tonight. My goodness. So we're going to have to go to the replay and take a look. Mark Jackson just gets up into the wall. And it looks like Matthew Quick was involved in that. My goodness. Mark Jackson just was holding off two lines. This is the result of three wide at times, folks. And he pinned Matthew Quick right up there into the wall. And my goodness. As he was going for a little bit of a spin, it looks like the 19 of Brent Rogers T-boned him a little bit, and man, did he go spinning even more. Run around like a head of a clock, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like damage is done. He should be okay. They get fast repairs in this league, so they definitely will take advantage of that. Drivers definitely don't want to use it early on in the race, but when you have to use it, you have to use it. So that's going to put the 54 of Nick Reynolds up in the lead. The 87 of Raymond Rittenauer is by race control. Once they make their way down the front stretch here, we'll see where everybody's at. Imagine we're going to see some guys pitting as the fuel economy that these guys are driving, or capacity, excuse me, is a better term I want to use. Fuel capacity that these guys are using here tonight is about half a tank of gas, so 50 laps, it gets you about halfway through the race if we have green flag from start to the middle point of the race. But unfortunately, there's a caution already, and as you can see, most of the guys come down. As we're looking at the 54 of Nick Reynolds, he is on pit road. None of these guys are probably going to take some tires early on in this race. It's just going to be a splash and go. And as we look at the 54, he may be having some issues with some repairs that he's going to go through, and we see Damon Gilbert, that 68 red and black Silverado, coming out of pit road now. Other guys, Nick Hunt, a 00 truck, making his way off the pit road onto the back stretch, or the back straightaway, excuse me. And right now, race control showing the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer III is your race leader, followed by the 55 of Scott Amy, the 54 of Nick Reynolds, and the 68 of Damon Gilbert as the front four. As always, during a caution, we are going to go ahead and see if we can get somebody on the line for you here tonight. And let's see if we can get Raymond Rittenauer on the line here. Raymond Rittenauer, this is Dustin Caldwell in the booth.
Copy.
Well, you're so far in the 5 laps into this race. You are the race leader, and I got to tell you, that's an interesting paint scheme you're running here tonight, that Scooby-Doo paint scheme.
Thank you.
Now, how do you feel this race is? I know we're only 5 laps into it, but from practice and qualifying, how's the truck handling tonight?
Feels a little loose. Maybe it'll tighten up if we get a longer run here. It's been pretty wild so far.
Hopefully you can do that Warner Brothers truck really proud and solve the mystery of who's going to win the race here tonight.
That's 10-4, man.
All right. Well, anybody want to give a shout out to here while we're pacing?
Matt Quick and All Pro for putting on a good league here, and you guys for putting on a hell of a broadcast.
All right, buddy. Well, best of luck to you the remainder of this race there, Raymond.
All right, thanks.
That is your current race leader, the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer III. Again, running that Scooby-Doo paint scheme on that truck here tonight. Excellent looking job on that truck, and always nice to see guys with sense of humor when they run their paint schemes. Maybe it's something they're passionate about, or something their sponsors decide they want to run a custom truck for the evening, and that's what you get. And you get a nice little paint scheme like that on the 87. Scott Amy now looks like he is in second position. Scott Amy is representing Pat. If you take a look at his paint scheme here tonight, Pat is Parents Against Distracted Drivers, warning teenagers about distracted driving, such as texting while driving and such. So nice to see a guy passionate about an organization that does well to help teenagers stay less distracted while they drive. Looking back into third position, you got that grumpy cat of Matthew Quick. Matthew Quick, a running buddy of the 87, so it looks like they both will be on the lower groove, which is good for drafting. These guys, you'll probably see the 89 get real quick up onto the 87's bumper and do a little bit of bump draft, try to gain some momentum and get out ahead of the rest of these guys here when we go back to green. As they come across the start-finish line, looks like the lights of the Mustang iRacing pace car have come off. Lap number 7, we will be going green on lap number 8 here at Daytona. This is the Apache Graphics Race Designs Camping World Truck Series here at Daytona. And it looks, taking a look out into our YouTube community right now, it looks like Michelle Eisenhower is joined us here. Glad you can join us here tonight, Michelle. It's always, he's rooting for Donald King as well. Oh man, Donald King's got a lot of good fan base out there. I have to make a fan club for that 23 truck. And as they make their way down the front stretch, we're going to be set to go green here on lap number 8. It'll be Raymond Rittenauer, Scott Amy, Matthew Quick, and the 77 of John Brom will be your front four, taking us back green. I apologize. From the angle that I had, I thought they were coming off of turn 3, but they are on the back straightaway. This is just not my night. Starting off with the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Kind of threw me out of my rhythm here tonight, so I'll do my best to recover on this and still continue to put on a great show for you here. Just all set to go, and things just kind of hiccuped for me here tonight. We started this field with 17 trucks, and currently 3 trucks have gone 1 lap down. Dustin Lee, Brent Rogers, and Mark Jackson are off the lead lap now. So pending we have another caution, one of those gentlemen might be able to get back on the lead lap. Now they're coming down the front stretch. The pace car goes into the pits. Ladies and gentlemen, we're set to go green. And the green flag flies. The 87, the 89, like I mentioned, down there in that lower groove, get a great momentum shift. And they're going to blow by the 55 of Scott Amy, leaving the 77 of John Brown behind. And as we take a look now, you have the 20 up in the way there. That's a 00. I apologize, I said the 20. The 00, that's Nick Hunt now moving up there. 77 of John Brom gets into the bumper of the 00. And Damon Gilbert has to check up a little bit there. The 14 of Jeff T. Martin there on the lower groove behind Matthew Quick. These guys are fighting to see which groove is going to win out. Looks like Jeff T. Martin may have gone into the pits there. He may have stayed out during that last caution. And we'll have to thus go into the pits here while we're back green. As they come across the start-finish line, it is the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. Nick Hunt battling it up in the front, and the 89 of Matthew Quick, the 77 of John Brom, the 25 of Teddy Wisniewski are all battling it out. And then you have the 29 of Dustin Phillips. And it looks like that middle momentum on the back straightaway coming into turns 3. Oh, the 77 of John Brom had to get out a little bit. He got a little bit of air push, maybe come on up from that 89. He almost went 3 wide there into turns 3 and 4. Coming down the front stretch. They're making their way into turn 1 after the start-finish line, and it's still the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer, the 00 of Nick Hunt, the 89 of Matthew Quick, the 77 of John Brom are your front 4 here tonight. Taking a look back in the field, just seeing where the rest of these guys are. Donald King, there's the shout out for the YouTube community there. The Donald King started this field tonight in 17th position, and he is currently in 7th, so he's moved up 10 positions. As it takes a look in the field, you can almost give that guy the Hard Charger Award, but Nick Hunt started in 12th and is in 2nd, so respectively, these guys have moved up 10 positions from where they were on the starting grid. Raymond Rittenauer still in that lower groove, getting some help from the 89 of Matthew Quick, battling side by side, where you have the 00 of Nick Hunt and the 77 of John Brom. John Brom is just wobbling all over the place. I don't know if He's a little bit wobbly there because of the air flow that's going around. And as you see, they move into lap traffic coming around that 14 of Jeff T. Martin. And John Brom, this truck, I don't know if he's having some issues. Maybe a little bit of damage still from that first caution that came out. But he gets up there. And now these guys are, look at him go. He's getting really wobbly in between Nick Hunt and Teddy Wisniewski, causing him to kick out almost into the wall at times. And as we see him make their way down to the front stretch, crossing that start-finish line, Raymond Rittenauer is still working that lower groove. The 29 of Dustin Phillips is behind the 89 of Matthew Quick. Coming into turn 1, momentum shifts back to the lower groove. We are on lap number 12 of this 50-lap affair here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you for tuning in to the All-Pro Broadcast Network. We do put on a lot of great racing series here. If you were watching Monday night was a great race. It was the Dance Top Notch Heating and Cooling K&N Series premiere. That's a 5-race series dash for cash. They were at Atlanta, and Teddy Wisniewski, that you're seeing here tonight, the 25 truck, he was racing it, able to come home with the victory there in Atlanta. They're going to be at Kansas next Monday night. Definitely want to mark that on your calendars. As you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share our page. Get it out there, put it on social media, put it on Facebook. Wherever you can share it out there, folks. We want to be able to bring the All-Pro Broadcasting to everybody out there in the community, to those who are not aware and to those who want to know when we are broadcasting our series races. So we are at Daytona this week as you are watching. We're going to be at a road course next week. That's going to change things up a bit for this Camping World Truck Series. We're going to be at Watkins Glen, so that's always a great racetrack to watch these drivers go, trying to hone in their driving skills. And with the new dynamic track package, I don't know how many of these drivers have driven on the road courses yet, so definitely going to play an interesting little factor when these guys go from their typical oval comfort to driving on the road. And the 25 of Teddy Wisniewski, John Brom, already showing that he's pretty wobbly. If I was Matthew Quick, I'd be kind of nervous, especially Don King and the 03 truck back there. That's Donald Fitzgerald. So we almost got two Donalds running side by side. John Brom just been pretty loose here in these first few laps in that 77 Texaco Havoline truck. Teddy Wisniewski got a little bit into the bumper of him and got him even looser, so I want to see how this is going to play out. Going to be a little bit interesting, just trying to find the grooves, and there goes the 77 into the bumper of Nick Hunt. Now you can see some damage on the back of that 00 truck as they come across the start-finish line heading into turn 1. Nick Hunt comes down to the middle groove over the 87. I don't know if Nick Hunt wants to escape that. He probably would rather be up in the middle groove, but he wants to get away from that 77 truck that put a little bit of damage on his bumper. And now look at these trucks go. Oh, there it goes. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what a caution. Teddy Wisniewski into the bumper of John Brom, and that's going to send Raymond Rittenauer, that Scooby-Doo mystery machine truck, into the wall, across the apron. Oh, my gosh. What a caution. Poor Raymond Rittenauer got victimized on that. That's where Matthew Quick was sitting a few laps ago, and I was worried about that, seeing that 77 truck be as loose as he was. As we take a look at the replay of that, you see Teddy Wisniewski coming up out of the back straightaway, and he is just going to get into the bumper of that 77 and just cause him to get loose enough. And, man, those two together go flying off the track. I think John Brom was able to save it, but Raymond Rittenauer is going to get the brunt of that. Yeah, John Brom was able to come back up onto the apron and stay around and come up behind the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr., and no harm, no foul to him. He just got a little bit loose, and you can see some damage on the bumper of his truck. But Raymond Rittenauer, tough break for him. Goes sliding through the grass, and he's going to definitely get down there close to that wall. I believe he may have went into that wall, and we'll have to see how that'll play out for the 87 team. So that brings out our second caution of the race here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll have some driver interviews and some more racing action. This is the Apache Graphics Race Design Camping World Truck Series here this Wednesday night. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
In the outside contact made 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to Daytona, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to the All-Pro Broadcast Network here this Wednesday evening. You're watching the Apache Graphics and Race Designs Camping World Truck Series here at Daytona. And before we went to commercial break, it was the 25 of Teddy Wisniewski getting into the bumper of the 77 of John Brahm, sending Brahm to the left, and it was a left-turn collide as he went down into the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer, sending Rittenauer into the wall. Brahm was able to escape with minor scathing to his truck, but he was able to be back out. So we'll have to see who the 87 truck is. Look like he's making it out his way out of the pit, so he had to make some repairs, but he is now coming back out of the pits onto the track. Give you a top 5 rundown as it stands. Right now, it looks like the 89 of Matthew Quick is your race leader. The 25 of Teddy Wisniewski's in second. The 00 of Nick Hunt and the 54 of Nick Reynolds are your top 4. As we are pacing around the track, we're going to get a driver on the line, and we're going to go to the 00 of Nick Hunt. Nick Hunt, this is Dustin Caldwell. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, my goodness, taking a look at your truck, it looks like you've had a lot of damage early on in this race. You're currently sitting in third per race control. We'll have to see as we come across the start-finish line. Still looks like they're going to hold you into third. How do you feel with the damage on the truck? You got a lot of damage on that bumper there, buddy.
Well, actually, I wasn't sure if I had damage or not. I guess the truck that wrecked back there came across the back. I didn't feel it or anything, but I did see I got a 4X, so I was hoping I had minimal damage.
Yeah, it definitely looks like you got a little bit of cave-in. We was watching the 77 of John Brahm get into the back of you a few times. He was looking pretty wobbly, so you were the benefactor being in front of him, I guess, when he decided to go left-turn collide, as I mentioned earlier, into Raymond Rittenauer with the help of Teddy Wisniewski. So definitely hopeful it'll play out. Is truck feeling okay other than that?
Yeah, other than that, it's good. I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't hold me back too much.
All right, well, best of luck to you in the remainder of this race here, Nick.
All right, thank you.
That is the 00 of Nick Hunt running that Dallas Cowboys paint scheme on his truck here tonight. Matthew Quick, Teddy Wisniewski are going to be your front two, and Nick Hunt, we just spoke with him, will be in the inside on that second row with the 54 of Nick Reynolds to his outside. So you have two Nicks side by side in that second row. Battling it out here we're going to be set to go green on lap number 20 of this 50-lap race here tonight. And as we see the Mustang iRacing pace car leading them around off of turn 4, coming down the front stretch. Once that pace car goes in, we are going to be set to go green, and it will be the 89 of Matthew Quick setting the pace. So we'll see which groove will be the lower of the middle groove that gets the best restart. There goes the pace car. And the green flag flies. The 89 and the 25 up front, and it looks like they got side by side. So Teddy Wisniewski able to anticipate the moves of the 89 of Matthew Quick as they come down the front stretch. And heading into turns 1 here. Matthew Quick able to go side by side with the 25 of Teddy Wisniewski. 54 of Nick Reynolds. Looks like Nick Hunt may have fallen a little off the pace due to some of that damage. You can see the 29 of Dustin Phillips on the bumper of Nick Reynolds. And they're going to move down into the lower groove now as they head into turns 3, 4, and we got another bump action back there. Looks like Gary Whitmer got into the side of somebody. I'm not seeing a caution flag. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Whitmer got into that. Looks like he may have got a little loose off of turn 4. That Red Bull truck. No, it was the 55. 55 of Scott Amy got into the back of the 5. He went down into the 03 of Donald Fitzgerald, and due to the fact that he was able to recover and not stop on the track, truck stopped, no caution will fly. So they remain green here on lap number 21 of this 50-lap race. And we see Teddy Wisniewski assuming the race lead there, was able to get down in that middle groove. The 54 of Nick Reynolds on his bumper in that Southeast Motorsports truck. Now the 29 of Dustin Phillips and Matthew Quick are trying to take lead and get some momentum in that middle groove as they're heading down into turn number 3. And it looks like they might lose a little bit of momentum here coming around the front stretch. 25 of Teddy Wisniewski. And a little bit of glitching going on by the 89. Looks like he might be having some mechanical issues or connection issues there, Matthew Quick. He's continuing to blink here. We don't know what's going to happen here with that 89 truck. As they head into turn 1, Dustin Phillips falls off the pace and gets behind the 89 in that lower groove. Still, we're seeing a little bit of blinking going on from that 89 truck. Nick Hunt now about 2 seconds off your race leader here on lap number 22. And still see that considerable damage to his bumper playing a big factor on able to maintaining his pace up in the race lead, and noticing a big gap falling off behind the 4th or 5th position truck because Damon Gilbert is now bump drafting with the 51 of Dustin Lee. They're back there in 6th and 7th respectively, heading into turn 1. Jeff T. Martin now back out on the lead lap thanks to that last caution. He's now working with Donald King in that 23 All-Pro. That's for our viewers out there in the YouTube community. Donald King's the fan favorite here tonight. Donald King started 17th, and he was up as high as 7th, but he's now currently sitting in 9th, but they got a good momentum shift back there as they make their way up against the 68 and the 51. And right on the back of the 23, you have the number 4 of Andrew Williams in that Toyota Tundra. Coming back up to the front, we got a good bump draft going on with the 54, the 25, and the 29. These guys are working it out here and trying to pull away from the pack. Intervals between these 3 and the 4th position is about 1.35 seconds. Matthew Quick definitely needs a buddy out there. He's running solo, and when you're not having a draft partner, you're going to fall off the pace pretty quick. And it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a late entry into the booth here tonight. Mitchell Reeves is going to be joining us here in the booth. He was a little bit delayed in traffic, but I think he spent a lot of time out there on the beach and finally decided to come in to work here tonight. Mitchell, I want to thank you for joining us here in the booth tonight.
Thanks, Caldwell. The beach was sunny and shiny today, we might say.
It's hard to turn down a Florida beach there this time of year.
Yep, all the way in Alabama, yep.
All right, well, as we've seen, we've had a few cautions here tonight. It's been an exciting race here. We're at the halfway point of this race, and Nick Reynolds still is your race leader. These front three trucks here, Mitchell, taking a look at them, they're working together in tandem, bump drafting it out, and they're out about a 3-second lead over that fourth position of that 89 truck of Matthew Quick. Have you were able to get in to see some of this race early on?
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of it earlier there, Dustin. When it was just them four, it looked like Quick was having some connection issues, and that's kind of what caused the 29 to get into him. Quick came over the radio and was really, flamed about what was going on, and long story short of it, when he blinked out, it looked like the 29 just got into his truck. But with them being spread out like this, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of strategy gets played here. You got Dustin Lee and Damon Gilbert back there who know the strategy better than almost anybody, but there's a lot of guys here like Nick Reynolds leading a lot of good laps tonight. Maybe he can pull it out.
Yeah, and as you see now, back in fourth position, Jeff T. Martin and the 23 of Donald King had some great momentum shift, getting their way up towards the front, and also to their outside, the 51 of Dustin Lee and the 68 of Damon Gilbert have been battling them out side by side. And I was telling everybody out there, Dustin Phillips, the third position truck, as we look back to the front, he was running 19th in practicing and 14th qualifying. So he started 14th on the grid. Teddy Wisniewski started 11th on the grid, and here they are second and third respectively. It's a pretty amazing feat that these guys are able to get so far up to the front, but that could be the product of a couple cautions as well.
Definitely. I mean, that's one thing that's awesome about Daytona is that's why a lot of people like it at iRacing is it really puts everybody on a level playing field. You hear some people say that they're super speedway enthusiasts. It's mainly because it's just such even racing. It's close racing. You keep it forward to the mat, and it's all about just the momentum and what you can do. And like you said, Dustin Phillips maybe started 14th to miss some of these wrecks, and with Teddy this too. That's one of Teddy's main strategy is just get to the end, and normally he's very, very good at getting to the end and being there. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get everybody piled back up in the same pack, what could happen. But right now, this top three looks like they're going to pull away for a little bit.
Yeah, and as we take a look back into fourth position with Jeff T. Martin and that little tri-pack, if you call it, I'll kind of make up my own term on this one. The 14 of Jeff T. Martin, the 23 of Donald King, and the 89 of Matthew Quick have looked like they're now working together and drafting. Dustin Lee and Damon Gilbert appear to be falling off just a little bit off that bumper of the 89, but it looks like they're going to go into the pits now here on lap number 28. Damon Gilbert, Dustin Lee making their pit move. Oh, and Damon Gilbert taking a look at that. He may have had to hit the brakes a little too hard to get down to that pit road speed, and he almost went off the pit road there.
Yeah, him and Dustin are already playing that strategy. But something to watch here, Dustin, with the Jeff T. Martin and Donald King. They're about 8/10 faster than that top three, so it's going to be really interesting to see if they can catch them before pit road. As you can see, Donald King and Jeff T. Martin are actually still bump drafting, while it looks like Teddy Wisniewski and Nick Reynolds are kind of just riding around. If they can catch them before pit stops, it can make it really interesting here.
Well, and as you see, the 29 of Dustin Phillips kind of falling off the pace a little bit, maybe playing a little bit of factor and dragging him down as he's trying to, take some of that air from that 25 to catch up. And overall, that's going to, and you see him swaying in and out, Teddy swaying in between them. That's going to take a little side draft away from him and slow him down a little bit. And that may be why you're seeing some catch up from that 14, 23, and 89 trucks.
Definitely. And another thing, too, to point out, if they can stay hooked up here, all six, which is now a six-car tandem for the lead as Jeff T. Martins goes to the outside, this is really going to help them for pit stops.
Yeah, and watching them come down that back straightaway, will there be this lap that these guys decide to go in? And we had a couple cautions earlier, and a lot of guys, both cautions went into the pits to make sure they could get their fuel tanks topped off to that 50% fuel max. And they're making their way down the front stretch here now, and doesn't look like they're going to be coming in anytime soon. So now look at the momentum shift there as they come across the start-finish line. Jeff T. Martin and Donald King making their way up, like you said, Mitchell. They got the momentum now, and right there behind them, the 89 of Matthew Quick. He's not necessarily on the bumper, but he's right up there. And it looks like they're going to get collected there in that side draft and stay neck and neck there with the 54 and the 25.
Well, something I definitely got to point out because they're my teammates. Looks like Jeff T. Martin, Nick Reynolds, even though they've got different brands and different trucks, they are teammates at Southeast Motorsports. Their plan might have been all along to get together. They have now accomplished that. Can they stay together? That will be the question through the rest of this race.
Yeah, and I pointed out earlier, the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer running that Scooby-Doo truck. These guys tend to have some great paint schemes that they put on, and every now and then you'll see teammates run some custom schemes rather than their typical sponsored trucks, and I think that's probably what Jeff T. Martin's doing here tonight.
Oh, definitely, but with this coming down, they're going to have to be probably pitting here pretty soon, I'm assuming. It's going to be interesting to see if they all pit at the same time, what Don King and Matthew Quick are going to be able to do on that outside. I think the fuel window here is going to be about 18 to 20 laps on a full green flag run, so I'm assuming we're probably coming close to the end of that.
Yeah, and your experience in racing, we watched you last night at Dover, and some of the handling that you had with this new dynamic racing surface, how does it play into the factor of fuel economy for these trucks? Is it about the same? Are you getting the same amount of laps, or is it because you're fighting the track harder, it's going to work the tank a little bit harder?
Well, really, it's about the same, but, not really here in the trucks, mainly, but in the A cars, in the Gen 6s and Xfinity cars, tires start to become a huge issue, but with only being 50% fuel, tires should not be a huge factor here for these guys, but it still is very recommended on this new build to use 4 tires on a pit stop, just because it actually does give you more speed having new tires now on super speedways.
We'll have to see how this plays out this next pit stop if guys decide to take tires. It looks like so far in this series when we've had this new build, a lot of guys just gone with a splash and go, and back to the races they win. I haven't really seen anybody even take 2 tires. I mean, 2 tires you think would give you even that much more of an advantage.
Definitely. And with it being 50% fuel, if you can time it right, you could probably take left sides the same amount of time it takes to fill up the tank. But with them, here comes a lap car. This might get interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out. The 23 of Donald King is now battling it out with the 14 of Jeff T. Martin up front. Nick Reynolds there now moving up to the side of Donald King, was beside the 89 of Matthew Quick. Dustin Phillips and Teddy Wisniewski are up front here as they're making their way through. We started the field with 17 trucks here tonight and only have 10 on the lead lap. So starting in 11th position with Scott Amy, and now they come around the 5 there of Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr., Mitchell, the thing I want to point out was kind of interesting. He got tagged by, I believe it was the 55 of Scott Amy, who they are now passing as they come across the start-finish line. Scott Amy came up into the bumper of that number 5 truck off of turn 3 and sent him into the wall. No caution was flown out of that, and being an experienced driver, from guys that want to be able to progress in this field, that's got to be pretty frustrating not to see a caution flag fly, and everybody in 11th position now being 1 lap down. Oh,
definitely. And here in super speedways, it's all about draft, and unfortunately, it does not take a lot of damage here to really ruin your race. You can just hit the wall a little bit, but it might cost you the race. And you pointed out a very, very big thing earlier. With only being 10 trucks, I would not be surprised if this goes green all the way. So we might be looking at our 6 contenders here for the lead or the win.
Well, I definitely have to see how this plays out. These guys are battling for points in this 10-race series. This is the Apache Graphics Race Design Camping World Truck Series. We're going to go ahead and step away from the mic for a second and give you a little bit of race sound, some crank it up, if you will, if you're able to crank up.
They're all pitting. Oh, and we have a crash going into pit road. Jeff T. Martin, Teddy Wisniewski. Oh, this is going to change everything, Dustin.
Well, this is amazing to see that come off. And they're down on the tracks, and the caution does come out. So they were coming around Jeff T. Martin as we take a look at Teddy Wisniewski coming down into the pit road. I'll have to cancel the cameras for a moment here. Jeff T. Martin got a little bit loose there coming down onto the apron and just slid up into the 25, sending Teddy Wisniewski. Not Teddy Wisniewski. That was, I apologize. I saw the 20. Normally Teddy runs a black truck.
Oh, Dustin
the
Phillips.
29 of Dustin Phillips there. Dustin Phillips went sideways, and Jeff T. Martin sent him back up. He had to hit the gas a little bit to try to maintain some side, and he was up on the double lines. Had to come up around, and because the truck was was reversing on the track or stopped on the track, we'll throw out a caution here on lap number 36.
Yeah, Dustin, looking at the replay here, it looks like Jeff T. Martin might have experienced some wheel hop going in there to the entry of pit road as well as Donald King. Donald King was still on the track trying to fight it, but it looks like Jeff T. Martin might have downshifted into third or second and maybe got some wheel hop out of it, causing that.
And definitely he'll want to take some tire change here, I'd imagine, especially chewing up those tires. Anytime you get off road, it's always a recommended thing to put some new tires on the vehicle, just to ensure that you're going to get the maximum amount of grip. It may be a cost penalty as far as time or any type of penalty. These going off a pit road like this, I don't think they were past the cone, so I don't know if they're really going to be slapped with a black flag or anything like that. They just may get some incident points out of it. So, but it'd be wise to probably take 4 tires here on this pit stop.
Well, it would be really wise for everybody to almost come down again. You know, we're coming down to almost 10 laps to go. It sounds like that's what we're going to restart with here. You know, with 11 trucks at Daytona, you can get from 11th to 1st in 1 lap. I've seen it done. It's not, I mean, if you get the runs, you can make it happen. You know, these last 10 laps, it's now turned into a shootout race. As you see Dustin Lee and Damon Gilbert get back on the lead lap, those are 2 teammates that might be back up in the front faster than you believe.
Yeah, and Scott Amy as well in that 55 truck was able to get the wave around and back onto the lead lap here on lap number 39. We're going to see if we can get somebody on the line for you here. Anybody you want to talk to out of that last one?
Let's give a shout out to old Nick. Let's do Andrew Williams.
Andrew Williams, okay. Oh, we're gonna go down south for you folks here. This is the Australian South. I know Mitchell lives down in Alabama, but we're going to go to Andrew Williams now in that number 4 Toyota Tundra. Andrew, are you there, bud?
Yeah, buddy. How are you today, Dustin?
Oh, doing well. Mitchell Reeves decided to show up tonight here. It was kind of a special guest here. He was playing out on that Daytona beach and came into the booth. And
yeah, I heard his Nissan 350Z broke down on me.
True.
Yeah, but so how do you feel? Mitchell especially requested that he wanted to talk to you tonight, so I'm going to let him kind of take it away here with the interview.
Well, and we've been seeing you kind of just lean in the back and stay in the back and avoid the incidents there. What did you see going down on the pit road when the 14 spun around and everything? What was your first reaction to that?
Well, I mean, prior to that, I was ready just to park it because, yeah, I'm just getting jacked. Trying to work with people that don't want to work with me and so forth. So I'm going to change the rest of my game plan here tonight to not really work with anyone. But I seen that guy was all crossed up sideways, and yeah, and I thought, well, hang on a second, if I go down pit lane, so I just stayed up.
Well, with there only being about maybe 13 trucks here on the lead lap, 12, you know, it's going to be a shootout style here coming with about 10 laps to go on this restart. Do you have any plans, or are you just going to go straight to the front and checkers or wreckers?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I'm going to call the card on just about everyone on the field. So elbows will be out, and if I wreck the truck, I wreck the truck, and I've got a bag full of excuses to say so.
10-4, Andrew. Good luck to you, man.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, bud. Yeah, that was the number 4 of Andrew Williams in that Toyota Tundra, and it sounds like he's not going to hold anything back in these last laps, Mitchell. Expect to see him to move through the field quite a bit.
Yeah, and it looks like Andrew might, from the scoring, he might actually start from first here. It's looking like from 6th on back there on the tail end of the lead lap after that caution with everybody on pit road. So it's looking like our top 3 is going to be Andrew Williams, Damon Gilbert, and Dustin Lee. So it's going to be interesting to see how quick Yo Motorsports with Damon Gilbert and Dustin Lee can team up and get to the front or stay in the front.
Yeah, and definitely we'll see once they come across. Race control is still kind of bejarbled with the last pitting that went on. Want to make sure everybody gets back into their respective spots when we come across the start-finish line yet again.
Well, with about 10 laps to go, who's going to be your pick to win this race?
Oh, Damon Gilbert's leading this race series. I think he's got a lot more on the line than most. So I'm gonna have to go with Damon Gilbert. As much as I want to probably try to choose another driver, I just think that the 68 truck has a lot to has a lot to go. So he'll hook up with Dustin Lee, and I think they'll make a big push for the contention to win this race. But as we take a look now, the lights of that Mustang iRacing pace car have come off. Andrew Williams will be starting on the inside to sit Damon Gilbert. Who are you going to pick, by the way?
You know, I really think I'm going to have to go with a dark horse on this one. I believe either Andrew Williams or Nick Reynolds can pull it out. You mentioned Damon Gilbert, but Damon Gilbert and really the Young Motorsports team in general have been caught in a lot of controversy lately, and there's a lot of people out there that does not want to see them win this race. So it's going to be really interesting to see if anybody can actually pass them. I mean, it's going to be them two pretty much versus the field here, especially coming down to 2 or 3 to go. But Nick Reynolds looked really strong earlier. It'd be good to see him back in a victory lane. It's been a while.
Yeah, and number 4 of Andrew Williams with the no-holds-barred mentality going into the last few laps of this race. I imagine he's going to fight pretty hard with that 51 and that 68, and we'll have to see. Damon Gilbert's been a good teammate to Dustin Lee, and I think now Damon Gilbert may want to step it up and maybe assume some lead. He's, like I said, out of the 150 laps that they've laid down in this race series, he's led 71 of them. So Damon Gilbert, it's got to be thirsty for some lead laps, and now that he's on the front, coming down the front stretch with that number 4 to the inside, I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Definitely hold a good contention going on. But as we see him come down now, that Mustang iRacing pace car goes into the pits, and the green flag flies here on lap number 42 of 50 laps. So we have 8 laps remaining in this race. Damon Gilbert is in that middle groove. Andrew Williams to the inside. Who is it going to be coming into turn 1, Mitchell? There's the 51 of Dustin Lee. They're getting out ahead of him.
Yeah, Dustin's already got with his teammate. Andrew Williams knows that he's going to have to keep that momentum, but they're going to take it out of 2. It looks like the 0-0 of Nick Hunt's going to be back on Andrew Williams out of 2, but I think Dustin Lee and Damon Gilbert are going to have the momentum coming off of turn 2.
And it's good to see finally that 0-0 truck getting the repairs they needed. But here comes the 68 and the 51 down across that 4. I think he just wiped Andrew Williams' nose, that bumper of the 51 of Dustin Lee. And Andrew doesn't look like he was too happy about it.
Oh, no, and it looks like we finally got Ray Rittenhauer in the Scooby-Doo Snack Chevrolet on the outside. He might be able to make a move with Matt Quick as Andrew Williams pulls up.
You almost couldn't say that without laughing there. I say that mystery machine, you can't say Scooby-Doo without smiling here. And Raymond Rittenhauer is a good guy, and he always wants to put smiles on people's faces. And him and Matthew Quick, it's kind of interesting to see these two guys racing right, one in front of the other. Matthew Quick put together his own paint scheme, and I don't know what kind of drugs that guy was on that night when he made that paint scheme, but he said he was just going for a good laugh and to make people happy, and he's definitely doing that, hooked up with that 87 of Raymond Rittenhauer. As they make their way now into turn 3, they are side by side here. 51 of Dustin Lee and the 4 of Andrew Williams, and everybody just trying to settle into their grooves. I think it's, from your experience in this race, I always love to pick your brain in these types of situations, but you got about 7 laps remaining. You just kind of go into a cruise control and patient mode to let everybody kind of work it out, and then kind of find your way of your strategy, your final strategy to go in for that victory.
Well, right now, you got it with it coming down to about 7 to go here. With 5 laps to go, unfortunately, iRacing still hasn't come out with the green-white checkered. So at 5 laps to go, the race is going to be it will be put to a halt, and the field will be frozen if there's a caution. So after 5 laps to go, you have to treat every lap like it's the last lap. So pretty much from Matthew Quick back, it's go time. You've got to get to the front. You've got to find a way to get there in order to be in contention if something happens.
Yeah, well, I've seen you with 2 laps down come about 7 positions to sneak away and claim a victory by 9/10 thousandths of a second. So
very true.
Anything can happen definitely when the momentum's on the line. And Damon Gilbert right now is...
turn! Nick Reynolds in the wall. Donald King, I believe.
Nick Reynolds, and his motor's blown. But because he's able to get off the track and we don't have any stop tracks, no green flag's going to fly. That's an interesting thing. We got front 8 cars here, definitely away from everybody else. These are going to be your final contenders pending no caution flies. And 68 of Damon Gilbert, sorry Mitchell, 68 of Damon Gilbert is side by side with the 4 of Andrew Williams coming down the front stretch.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's going to be the top 3 on the outside and the inside. Going to see who can get the push. Andrew Williams is the leader on the outside with Damon Gilbert on the inside. It's going to be a battle between, looks like 8 cars here coming down to 5 laps to go. If there is a caution from here on out, Dustin, the race is over.
Yeah, and Damon Gilbert will be your race winner. So we've seen time after time a lot of races end on the cautions, and I know drivers want that battle to that checkered flag, but they'll take a win any way they can. So Damon Gilbert, your series points leader coming into tonight's race. Dustin Lee's in second. Currently both working together on that bottom groove here with the last few laps remaining. Definitely want to be in a good position to be able to get those points heading out of Daytona into Watkins Glen next week.
As we see the Aussie, number 4, Andrew Williams, take that lap right there. I think he's going to start turning it up here. We're coming down to 4 laps to go. Andrew knows what's on the line. He didn't get the good side of the deal last Monday in the K&N race with the black flag. So we're going to see if he can redeem himself and maybe get the win here against Yo Motorsports on the inside.
And as you mentioned, Andrew Williams, I can still sense a smile, almost a laugh out of you, 87 of Raymond Rittenauer, because you're looking at that Scooby-Doo machine. You're looking at it. You want that Warner Brothers truck to be up there.
Oh, yeah.
Tell. But yeah, as they come around now, making their way into turn 3, coming down the front stretch, side by side. If we could get this would be amazing, having this kind of race action coming down to the final. We got 3 wide there behind Teddy Wisniewski, Matthew Quick, and Dustin Phillips. Oh, here comes some lap traffic playing a little bit of role. That was that Texaco truck.
I think John Braun was the 77.
77, John Braun, who brought out a caution early on in this race. Got a little bit loose there. Teddy Wisniewski gave him a little helping hand, sent him left into Raymond Rittenauer, believe it or not. Raymond Rittenauer went down across the apron into the grass and hit a wall, but miraculous work done by his crew to be able to get that truck back out here and still remain competitive in these last few laps. But look at Matthew Quick and Teddy Wisniewski now falling way off.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big problem there because we know Dustin Lee and Damon Gilbert are not going to try to pass each other. The only place that can get past right now is going to be outside. Damon's going to hold that yellow line to the end of this race. So it's going to be up to Andrew Williams what he can do on the outside to maybe pass them as we come to 2 laps to go.
And as they come around that start-finish line, it's going to be the white flag will be out. And it's going to be an interesting one with that 4 and that 87 on the outside, as you put it, Mitchell. These guys are going to have to do what they can to battle it out, and they're now making their way into turn 3.
It's looking like it's a 6-truck battle now. Andrew's kind of falling back to Dustin Lee. We're going to see what happens here. There's a space, so maybe Andrew can get the runoff. But here comes a lap car. This might make everything.
Yes, lap traffic. Oh, they go 3 wide down the front stretch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet. Here we go. Crossing the start-finish line. The white flag flies for this Daytona race here tonight. This is the Apache Graphics Race Design Camping World Truck Series. We got some side-by-side racing battle heading into the first turn. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what Andrew Williams is going to do. The 68 of Damon Gilbert taking him into turn 2. Still has almost a 1-truck lead over that number 4, but here comes that momentum shift from that middle groove. The 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. We are a half a lap away from the end of this race, ladies and gentlemen, heading into turn number 3. Damon Gilbert still working his way on that lower groove, is getting a little bit of momentum shift from that 4, but I think we'll see some slingshot coming from that 4 down the front stretch. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a photo finish. Here they come, and it's going to be Damon Gilbert and Andrew Williams in second, Dustin Lee in third, and I believe Raymond Rittenauer is going to be up there. What a finish it was. Not quite exactly like a photo finish that you've had before, Mitchell, but my goodness, a quarter of a truck. Just the nose is what it's going to come down to give Damon Gilbert the win here tonight.
Yeah, it looked like that outside started to fade away there, and Andrew was coming. If it would have been Talladega, he might have been able to get him, but at Daytona, with the line being closer, he just ran out of time.
You know, one thing I got to point out, we were talking a lot about Raymond Rittenauer. He actually was a lap down in that, believe it or not. So that's amazing effort from a driver to be 1 lap down and pushing a guy, bump drafting a guy to get him competitive to potentially win a race. So that's kudos to that 87 truck. Not only does he have a great sense of humor, a great guy overall. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, before we get you some driver interviews, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. When we come back, we will have the concluding ceremonies for the Apache Graphics and Race Designs race here tonight at Daytona. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Daytona. This is the Apache Graphics and Race Design Camping World Truck Series concluding ceremonies. We want to thank you for tuning into the All-Pro Broadcast Network here this Wednesday night. What a race finish it was. It was Andrew Williams and Damon Gilbert coming down to the line, and Damon Gilbert, with just a little bit of a nose, is able to take home the victory here at Daytona. Coming in third place is that 51 of Dustin Lee. Dustin Lee did an amazing job here tonight. He was second in points coming into this race. Dustin Lee, you got to be kind of happy with where you stand. I know it was neck and neck between Damon Gilbert and Andrew Williams, but you were right there to claim third here tonight.
Oh yeah, it was a good race. All I wanted to do there was just make sure Damon won. That's just like old times. Me and him used to work together by ourselves. When we first met, and we were always fast, and it's kind of good to get back to that, and still know we got it.
Yeah, definitely, and you guys definitely pulled it off here tonight. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Sponsor Olive Hill Welding, and thanks a lot to Damon. He was there for me from the start, and we finished together at the end. So, and thanks to you guys for putting this on.
Mitchell, you got anything you would like to ask him?
Dustin, was y'all, it looked like when on that restart, y'all knew that y'all had to get together and get to the inside. Was there ever any talk going to the outside, or was y'all planning to stay on the yellow line the whole time?
It was pretty much a plan just to stay on the yellow line. The trucks actually, in practice, they didn't heat up at all, but during the race, they got hot really quick. It seemed like with two cars, they don't get hot, but when you get a bunch of other trucks around them, you're able to kind of get that push from behind, and it pushes you right up on the bumper. And so we figured the bottom line would probably be the best place to be.
All right, well, to present to you your third place trophy for tonight's race is Apache Graphics and Race Design, Mr. Ed Whittington himself. Ed?
Hey, guys. Dustin, you guys always run really good together, and I'm not surprised to see y'all at the front at the end, to be honest. And just got to congratulate you on account of that, because you're definitely a hard team to beat.
Appreciate it, yeah. Appreciate you guys sponsoring this and everything, and all that you guys do too as well.
All right, buddy. Well, go ahead and celebrate that third place victory here tonight there, Dustin.
10-4. Thank you, guys.
All right, we are going to go to the man who was just a nose away. Let's repeat, a nose away from getting victory here tonight. And my goodness, that number 4 truck had the help of a one lap down 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. Andrew Williams coming in second place tonight. You had that. We talked to you on that last caution, and you kind of had that no holds barred mentality. You took it all the way to the checkered flag, my friend. I tell you, how did it transpire? How do you feel about where you sit tonight?
Oh, I mean, to get a second with the colour drivers that were up the front is absolutely incredible. So I'm going to take the second by all means. Definitely, it's going to be hard to beat the 51 and 68. They're just in a field of their own. They're always good, strong drivers. And just for that restart, I knew I had to find someone to work with. And so I was going to work with the 00. Nick Hunt. He's always been a good guy and always helped me out. And I've always respected him. But unfortunately, he was on the bottom line, and I sent the 87 coming to the high side, so I thought, all right, I'm going to go high. And then I didn't realise it was lap down, because at one stage there I was actually cleared of the 68 and 51, but I didn't think he was cleared, so I didn't want to go down yet. But it happens.
Well, you started 10th here tonight and able to come home with the runner-up trophy. My goodness. It's a good race for that Toyota Tundra. You put it on. Mitchell, you got anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, we saw you working the outside there on the last couple laps with Ray Rittenauer and the Scooby-Doo Yabba Dabba Doo Chevrolet. Did you think that y'all were going to be able to have something there coming to the end? If it was maybe Talladega, do you think you would have been able to get him, or were they just too strong on the bottom?
No, definitely. I mean, I've been told from the replay, looking back on it, we did have 3 cars in our top line. However, we weren't as close as what they were on the bottom. But being the high side, we could sort of get away with it. You know what? I think definitely the 87, Raven, tonight he finishes back there in 9th, a lap down, but really he was a lot better driving that. His truck was a lot better than that. He should have definitely been up inside the top 5 with us. I just owe him a massive bit of gratitude, and I can't thank him enough for sticking with me there, because definitely without him, the number 4 would have only been so good. But I do believe we would have had something for them. But as I said before, 51 and 68, hats off to those guys. They're on a good race all race. I was made sure I stayed out of trouble. Didn't have to use resets, nothing like that. I was always stopping off the field, doing double stops at each caution. I had a feeling we were going to get one more caution to go, and thankfully that group in front of me, they all went balls up there and spun out and brought out the caution. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in play at all. I was about to go pit by myself, so I was going to finish back where I started.
Well, on the bright side, at least with you finishing in the top 5, Outback Steakhouse will be giving out free blooming onions on Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Nothing makes me more happier than going down and getting some blooming onions. So, yeah.
And it's kind of the irony between it, a real Australian running an American chain interpretation of Australian cuisine. So, Andrew, anybody you want to give a notable or shout out to before we give you your trophy here, bud?
Obviously, I just want to do a massive shout out to Michael Domenico. Can't thank him enough. He's just heart and soul of this series, really. Obviously, yourself, Dustin Caldwell. It's good to see Mitchell. Obviously, you had to walk, obviously, from downtown Daytona to the booth because your car wrecked out. You know what I mean? That's what you get for driving a hairdresser's car. But no, it's good to see you too, Mitchell. I just want to do a shout out to All Pro Racing, All Pro Broadcasting. And massive thank you and shout out to Raymond as well as Nick Hunt, because without them, I wouldn't have been where I am. So thank you very much, guys, and I owe you a beer. So cheers.
All right, well, to present you with your runner-up trophy is Apache Graphics Race Design, Mr. Ed Whittington himself. Ed?
Andrew, it's good to see you in the front, buddy. That snafu in the pits really played out for you earlier, and congratulations on your second place win. And good job. You've always been a good racer, and it's fun to watch you race.
I appreciate that, Ed. Thank you very much, and thank you to Apache Graphics too. This guy, he turns out some awesome paint jobs. You think mine looks good? You should wait and see if he ever painted me something, which I'm going to ask him to do. But thank you.
All right, Andrew. Well, go celebrate your second place victory there, bud.
Hopefully, you can drive that. Get Ray Rittenhour to let you borrow that Yabba Dabba Doo Scooby Doo car and drive it up to Outback.
I think so. It's going to have to happen. Yeah. Thanks very much, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go to your race winner. Your race winner, he came out of Indiana all the way down to Daytona and edged out a truck just by a nose. That is the 68 of Damon Gilbert. Damon, you started tonight in the 4th on the grid, and you're able to come away with the victory. How do you feel? You were leading the series points late coming into this race, and definitely going to pull away a little bit ahead of Dustin Lee since he finished in 3rd tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good night, I guess. Dustin was my partner in the race. He got caught a lap down, and we had some messed up fuel strategy there. When he got caught a lap down, he had to do the wave around, so he didn't get the pit. We were 3 laps short on fuel, so we just pitted because we were just gonna stick together. Me and him being part of Yo Motorsports, and caution ran our way. Because they were all on pit road, they got black flagged. We had to start in front of them, and Dustin was an absolute beast tonight and pushed me for over 10 laps. The thing double blinking. Yeah, it was a pretty good night.
Well, Mitchell, anything you would like to add?
Well, David, it looked like you did pretty good in the Cobb 68 Chevrolet tonight. What was your strategy coming into that last restart? I know that Dustin was on your inside. Were y'all planning to stay on the inside the whole night, or were you going to maybe try to block if the 68 Cobb Chevrolet got clear?
We got to the bottom. It was hard to pass. I knew if we got on the bottom, we were going to be tough to pass Dustin. Me and Dustin came into the room tonight knowing that we weren't going to lose because we didn't feel like losing. And so we got on the bottom, and we tried to chuck as much as we could, and it ended up going our way.
Congratulations. That was a heck of a race. It looked like you definitely were the class of the field, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, anybody finally you'd like to give a shout-out to before we give you your trophy here tonight, Damon?
I would like to thank all my teammates at Yo Motorsports. We got Dustin, we got Steven Hendren, we got George Bark, and everybody that helps me out and everything.
All right. Well, to present you with your championship race trophy here at Daytona, not quite a championship, just a race trophy for winning here tonight and still leading the series points coming out of tonight's race is the Apache Graphics Race Design man himself, Ed Whittington.
Yeah, Damon, you run a hell of a race, dude. That caution there screwed up pits deal. That played right into yours and Dustin's hand. That was perfect. As usual, at the end when it counts, that's where you guys were at. And that's cool, man. I just wanted to congratulate y'all, and you did a fine job.
Yeah, the caution felt really good for us there. We were about to lose a lap if they went one more extra lap.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it, though. Damon Gilbert, go ahead and enjoy your victory here tonight. Damon, you got anything we can expect from the 68 truck next week at Watkins Glen?
I'm going to try turning right for once. Ain't very good at that, but I'm going to try. Yeah.
Have you raced any road courses since the new dynamic surfaces took effect?
No, I've only raced one road course race ever in my whole life.
Oh, this will be interesting. Almost like Eric Jones out there in the Camping World Series. You're going to have to see what the 68 can bring. You're going to be going into that race with the points lead, and it'll be your second race on a road course. So no pressure there, Damon. No pressure at all.
Yeah, but just hope me and Yo Motorsports can run that one out and win that one also, so we can be 3 for 5.
All right, well, best of luck to you, and we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen there, Damon.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Damon Gilbert, your race winner here tonight at Daytona. And next week, you want to put this on your calendar. Again, like as I mentioned, share it out there on YouTube. Subscribe. Share it on Facebook. However you can get a hold of it, just subscribe to this channel, put it out there, mark it for the calendars. Next week is the first road course of this Apache Graphics Race Design Camping World Truck Series. It will be, in this race series, it'll be race number 5, marking the halfway point of this 10 series race. And Damon Gilbert has now claimed 2 victories in this race series. So a lot of pressure rests on that young man's shoulders heading into next week. And we'll have to see, Mitchell, if he's able to turn right and come home with the victory. It definitely will be one to watch. So but beforehand, if you are interested, on Monday nights, we do have the Dance Top Notch Heating and Cooling K&N series. They're going to be at Kansas. That's going to be one to watch. Definitely a good series. Teddy Wisniewski, who was in the race here tonight, came home with the first victory of that 5-race dash for cash. You definitely want to tune into that. But that's going to do it all for us here tonight. I'm Dustin Caldwell. With me on cameras is Michael D'Amico. Mitchell joined me here in the booth tonight, and Ed Whittington, your series sponsor, joining us here for the trophy ceremony. We want to thank you for tuning into the All Pro Broadcast Network. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and have a good night.
Yabba dabba do.